States gave up. I just that one bothers me more than I mean they all bothered me. They just did not play a good game last night. Welcome back to the Nick Wize Show. Joining us right now, Jeff Attinella, former MLS goaltender, USF goaltender, and a Hall of Famer over at USF. Now working with the Rowdies. Jeff, you heard the audio there. What happened on that play to our goaltender with Free? I mean, he pulled a Young Wei Koo. He kicked the ground. I don't know what happened there. You're a goalie. You tell us.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was so unfortunate because I actually thought he played pretty well to that point, but it just seemed like he second guessed himself. Like he did a good job controlling the ball, which was the hard part, and then it's just like you got to kick that ball to the moon. You know what I mean? Put that ball in the stands. It doesn't matter where the ball goes, but you just got to get rid of it. And for some reason, I don't know what he did in his swing with his left foot. Maybe he didn't trust it. Maybe he thought he had more time, but I don't know, man. It's just one of those mental lapses that obviously it changed. You know, I felt like we had momentum in the second half a little bit, and then once that happened, it was just kind of that's a wrap. But feel bad for him, but at the same time, man, that's just at that stage, at that level, it's a terrible time to make that mistake. But at the same time, it's just one that you can't make.
Now, I thought it was embarrassing because first off, the rest of the world was already against us, and then we just kind of looked like a clown show. After really the entire moments leading up to the game, it was all a clown show, right? Well, should he be suspended? Should he not be suspended? Talking about Balogun and the red card, and then you get to the game, and it looked like a circus. It just wasn't their best performance of the tournament. Talking to Jeff Attinella, former MLS goaltender. Were we fooled about how good we thought Team USA was? And the same, by the way, for Canada and Mexico. Did we all just benefit from hosting and maybe having a generous group play?
And I think that there's like a little bit of all the factors involved, right? So I think that for the U.S. team, I kind of was on the record of saying that for the U.S. To make a statement in this World Cup, they had to win the group. They had to beat a team they were supposed to around 32, and then they were going to have to upset a team that is ranked higher than them, and that's something that we haven't really been able to do in World Cups. I do think that this is the group that had the talent to be able to do something like that. But at the same time, man, at that stage in the process and that stage of the game, you have to play your best game. And I don't know if the external noise was something that got into camp, because for me it just looked like a team that lost their swagger and lost their confidence, and that doesn't just happen overnight. Like that's not something that they were playing at a high level. They were playing with a lot of confidence, and then for whatever reason, for them to show up the way that they did, I do still think that they had enough talent to go to play with Belgium and to make that more of a competitive game and a little bit more of a toss up, but against the best teams in the world, you need your best players to play great. And unfortunately for, Team USA, I think there were only 2 or 3 guys on the field that, played games that were capable of that moment, and everybody else just kind of laid an egg. So you can't be an underdog and then lay an egg and like have your best players not play their best game and expect anything else to happen. For me, it was just the lack of fight. Like that's the thing that disappointed me the most, because like if you're going to go down, you want to go down swinging. And we went down, we got punched in the face, and it just seemed like we couldn't even swing back. That's the thing that bothers me the most.
No, it felt different from the moment really right from kickoff. You could tell that they were playing better competition than they had played, and you could tell we're still just so far behind the Europeans, or at least in my mind. Now, I'm more of a casual guy, Jeff. You know the game. I would say a lot of people are feeling the way that I feel right now. Like, oh, we're still so far behind the Europeans. It's not even close. The gap is still there. Would you agree with that, or did they just have a bad night?
No, I mean I think that everybody's valid in those points. The whole point of this whole U.S. men's national team and the way that they're trying to build it is that they're trying to build it into an organization that can go toe to toe and actually play the game with them. When back in the day it was more, we would have played more defensive and dug in and fought a lot more, and that was the way that we were going to get it done. But there's just been this whole movement within U.S. soccer to try to move things to that next level. And I mean, listen, you're as good as your last game, and that's the game that we saw. So it appears that there is still a wide gap. I thought that the team did a good job in group stage. Paraguay is no joke. We saw that they're able to compete with some of the better teams. They knock off Germany, but at the same time, it's to go out there and play that way. They couldn't connect passes. They couldn't defend versus the better forwards. They weren't aggressive to the ball. They were allowing things defensively that you just can't allow against good teams. And at the end of the day, whether it was a good night, whether it was a bad night, or that's just what we are. Like it is what it is. We just lost 4-1 to one of the better teams in the world, and to be fair, we put together one of the worst performances we've seen in the whole World Cup. So it's tough, and it's a big blow to U.S. soccer. But at the same time, I think that it's another opportunity to evaluate within the system and see if we're doing things the right way.
Jeff Attinella, former USF goaltender, MLS goaltender, now working with the Rowdies, joining us here on the Nick Wize Show. Talking about Team USA, they lose 4-1 to Belgium yesterday. The World Cup dreams are officially over. Would you say it's a disappointment with the way that it ended, or do you think USA lived up to what they were supposed to do? I know you said they were supposed to get to the round of 16, so are we okay with how they fared, or does it feel like it hurts a little bit more because we thought the team was better than what they were?
For me, it just hurts. For me, it just hurts the way it went down. You know, if you get knocked out in the round of 16 to a team like Belgium, that's something that we've done in the past, and you always want to see progress. And for me, it's just the lack of progress that we saw in terms of getting to that big stage and not competing in that moment. That one's tough for me. But then at the same time, it's just one of those situations where, you know, U.S. soccer is always trying to take that next step, and taking that next step is reaching the round of 8, and we've reached the round of 16 plenty of times. So unfortunately, it kind of feels like we haven't made much progress in that regard. I do think we still had a ton of talent on the field, talent that we haven't had before. But at the same time, if the talent doesn't perform, it doesn't really matter. So I think everybody's about neutral with where it ended, because that's like, if you know U.S. soccer, you're used to things ending in the round of 16. But with the home field advantage, with the talent that we had, with the coach that we had, I just think that it's a little bit disappointing because, one, we didn't show the fight in the game, which is tough. Like, that's the most disappointing thing for me. But also, it's, you know, this is a golden opportunity for us to take that next step. And clearly we just, you know, whether it was the team that we went up against or whatever it may be, we just weren't ready to take that next step. And I think that that's a big blow for U.S. soccer internally.
With Balogun and the red card getting overturned and him getting to play, how much of a distraction do you think that was for Team USA? Because we have a texter, you know, suggesting, had Balogun not played, he thinks USA could have rallied around that and maybe played a little bit better. Do you think that played a factor? And do you also think maybe it motivated Belgium a little bit, the fact that he did play?
Yeah, yes to both. Yes to both, man. Because I think that, you know, Belgium's a team that has some of the best players in the world. And honestly, I thought last night Belgium looked like a team that's going to go play against Spain and play them really tight and maybe even beat them. So you talk about a team like Belgium and all the chatter internally, you know, this game's in the U.S., so all the chatter internally or everything they're seeing is U.S. saying, oh, we're going to beat Belgium. Belgium doesn't look good. And, you know, we got our best player back. It's going to be easy for us. You know, you give a team like Belgium that type of motivation, they're going to run with it. And I think that we saw that. But I also think it's a U.S. team that they turned into the villain. And I don't think that this was a group that was ready to play the villain role because, you know, I think that things were going very well for them. I think that people were excited with the way that they were playing. And then ultimately, when you flip into the villain script, if you're not ready to be that person, like you're in for a tough awakening. And I think that's exactly what happened. So I think that, you know, the combination of the slow start, the way that they gave up the goal, the initial goal, and then the immediate response after, you know, the free kick, it was just a combination of things that the timing of everything, the way that was happening was just not in the U.S.'s favor. But at the same time, you make your own luck. You play hard, and those types of things don't happen. And we just didn't see a U.S. team that had the fight that was necessary to compete in a game like that. And it's tough, man. That's tough for somebody that loves this sport and really wants to champion U.S. soccer because, you know, you're always trying to get the casual fan to come on board and join what's going on. And, you know, at the very least, you want to see that fight from your group go down swinging. And unfortunately, I don't think we went down swinging last night.
All right, Jeff, last one for you before I let you go. In 4 years, when the World Cup comes back, will Christian Pulisic still be the most popular American player after the performance this year in the tournament?
No, I kind of think that there might be a little turning of the guard here. So I thought that actually some of the younger players were the best players on the field last night for the U.S. You talk about Freeman, he's 21. I thought he looked great. I thought Sebastian Berhalter came on and made an immediate impact and brought some energy to the game. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a turning of the guard. You know, 4 years is a long time. We have a lot of talented U.S. players out there playing across the world. So it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, somebody else emerges from that pack and kind of takes it and runs with it because we need somebody to do that. And unfortunately, you know, Pulisic is a great player, but if you don't perform in the World Cup, man, it is what it is. So I think that it's probably time for somebody else to take that and run with it.
Jeff Attinella, former USF goaltender, former MLS goaltender, now working with the Rowdies. Jeff, appreciate your time. It's been fun talking to you during this tournament, and hopefully I'm sure I'll talk to you within the next 4 years, right?
Yeah, of course, man. Listen, there's still a ton of good games, bro. There's still tons of good soccer games out there. It's just a blow that the U.S. isn't in them.
No, I agree. And look, I'm still going to be watching the tournament. I'm watching Argentina and Egypt right now. We're going to lose the mainstream audience, but us sports psychos will still be into it. Jeff, good talking to you. Appreciate your insight, and we will talk soon. Jeff Attinella, former USF goaltender, was joining us every week until USA got eliminated last night. All right, we call it 10 minutes of football. Every day, no matter what's going on in the world of football, we got to bring it to you. We'll do that coming up next here on the Nick Wize Show.